If you had just 24 hours to leave the United States, where would you go? Not just to visit, but to live, to work, and to have a safe place in case the situation back home gets any worse. I've found 12 countries where US citizens can show up tomorrow with not a lot of work needed ahead of time. As an American, you have options. Some offer 6 months, some offer 1 year. Many offer direct pathways to long-term residency. I'm an American. I'm filming this right now from here in southern Albania to tell you that you do have options. But here's the reality. Not all these options are equal. Some are more stable, some are more risky. Some offer better tax status, while some offer faster pathways. And the lifestyle and cost vary greatly from country to country. So I'm going to walk you through all 12, including an option in Central America that's often overlooked, so you can make your decision as to where you'd like to land. Let's start with the absolute best option, and the one that I chose for myself, Albania. Albania is located in the Mediterranean. While most of Europe offers 90-day on arrival for Americans, Albania offers a whole year, 365 days, visa-free. You just show up with your passport, go through an e-gate, and you can be here. Similarly, Albania does not restrict remote work, so you can continue working remotely. After 1 year, you either need to leave for 90 days, or you can apply for residency. There are more than 20 residency options available, and the application for all of them is done from within the country. The application process is relatively simple. The cost of living can also be extremely low. A single person needs between 800 euros to 1,200 euros per month to live very comfortably. More than that, and you can live a lifestyle that dramatically exceeds what you can afford in the USA. Albania also offers diverse landscapes, from the coastal regions to the Albanian Alps, and from rural villages to the hustle bustle of the city in Tirana. You can find it all here. The biggest pro, in my opinion, about Albania, aside from ease of access, is going to be the safety. Albania is one of the safest countries in the region, and you'll find that even petty crime here is not nearly as much of a problem as it is in many other places in the world, including safe places in Europe. Additionally, Albania is a NATO member, which means that you can enjoy protection in case the world gets more geopolitically unstable or a war breaks out. In this volatile world, you can trust that you're in the NATO security umbrella. The main con is that it's not in the EU yet, and similarly, you don't have access to the rest of Europe like you would in an EU country. But for lots of people that we know, that's not a problem. They're able to base themselves here and travel into the EU for 90 out of every 180 days, and any time they spend in Albania is time that resets that. Now let's compare that to the other year-long option, Georgia, the country, not the state. Like Albania, Georgia gives Americans 365 days of visa-free access every year. And crucially, the US State Department has confirmed that a simple border run resets this. So you can hop the border, come back, and you have another 365 days that you can spend in Georgia. The financial benefits in Georgia are also massive. Georgia uses a territorial tax system, so foreign income is generally not taxed. And if you're an entrepreneur, there's a program that allows you to be taxed only 1% on your earnings, up to 180,000 euros per year. Also, if you are heavy into crypto, Georgia does not tax gains from crypto. You can formalize your status in Georgia by registering as a sole proprietor, which costs around $100, and getting a 1-year renewable residency permit, which after 5 years can convert to a permanent residency. Georgia has a growing digital nomad scene in cities like Tbilisi and friendly taxes. The pros in Georgia are obviously the money. 1% tax is hard to beat. And the expat community in Tbilisi is very strong. But the cons are significant, and that is geopolitical risk. Georgia neighbors Russia, which actively occupies about 20% of Georgian territory. Russia also regularly meddles in Georgia's domestic affairs. And Georgia's not a NATO member, so if war breaks out, you're not protected under that umbrella. So the trade-off for your 1-year options is this. If you want safety, security, warm Mediterranean vibes, choose Albania. If you are okay with a little bit more risk and want a better tax treatment, choose Georgia. Next, let's move to the close-to-home options. If you want to stay in the same time zone or be an easy couple-hour flight away from the USA, you have a couple options. Starting with the most obvious choice, which is Mexico. Mexico offers you 6 months, up to 180 days, on arrival as an American citizen, although this is up to the discretion of the immigration officer. They could give you as little as 30 days if they want to. It's not guaranteed. Mexico is the best option in the Americas if you want a path to long-term residency or even staying forever. Their temporary resident visa is excellent. You need to prove between $3,500 to $4,000 per month in income or show about $70,000 in the bank. After 4 years, you can get permanent residency. The pros of Mexico are easy to see. The food is amazing, you're close to the US, the pathway is relatively straightforward, and there's a large expat community. The cons vary widely by region. In some areas, it's not at all safe. Others, costs have gone up. And doing remote work while on a tourist visa is technically a gray area. If you do remote work and stay over 180 days, you might be considered a tax resident and taxed on your worldwide income. If you have a bit more capital and want to lock in a Plan B permanently, take a look at Panama. You get 180 days visa-free on arrival, and Panama uses the US dollar, so you're not experiencing currency risks in the same way that you do moving to other countries. Panama offers 2 great paths to long-term residency. The first is the digital nomad visa, which requires about $36,000 US dollars per year in income. But the real power move is what they call the friendly nations visa. If you deposit $200,000 US dollars in a bank account or buy real estate, you can get a provisional 2-year residency, which then converts to permanent residency. And then after 5 years, citizenship is possible. The pros of Panama are its ease of access. Also, it's a dollarized economy with the territorial tax system. You're not going to be taxed on your foreign income there. The cons are it's very humid, and unlike Mexico, the cost of living in Panama City is quite high. Something to consider if you're looking for a Central American option. Now, if you want something that's culturally similar to the US, there is Canada. Canada gives US citizens 6 months on arrival. And a fun fact, Canadian immigration law explicitly allows incidental remote work during this time, as long as you're not doing work for Canadian clients or working for a Canadian employer. The pros of Canada are obvious. You could drive there, it's safe, it's English speaking, it's culturally familiar, and it's very close to home. The cons are that it's kind of a dead end. There's really no easy path to a long-term residency. There's no digital nomad visa. If you don't have a Canadian work sponsor or another connection to Canada, like through your family lineage, it's going to be very challenging for you to get the permits to stay long-term. Now, if you are a skilled worker in certain high-demand categories like healthcare, there are expedited pathways available to you, so something to consider. But for most people, it is challenging to convert that temporary stay into long-term residency in Canada. Plus, if you stay more than 183 days, you risk becoming a Canadian tax resident and have Canadian taxes on your entire worldwide income. But if you want the hidden gem of the Americas, you should take a look at Paraguay. Paraguay is often overlooked. It's not a country a lot of people think about when they're considering a move abroad. But for an emergency exit plan, it's extremely powerful. You get 90 days on arrival, but obtaining residency is incredibly easy. In practice, it's really just a lot of paperwork. You don't need a massive income in Paraguay. You generally need to just prove solvency, often showing a bank balance of roughly $5,000 or a small monthly income of around $1,500. And like Panama, Paraguay uses a territorial tax system. So if you live there but earn in the US, you're not going to pay taxes on your US income. And crucially, there's no minimum stay requirement. So you can use it as a plan B without relocating permanently. So pros and cons, it is the easiest and cheapest pathway to long-term residency in the Americas. The cons are it's landlocked and it's sleepy. The infrastructure is less developed than a lot of these other countries, and it doesn't have the beaches of Mexico or the excitement of Europe. It's a quiet life and something you're going to need to visit to make sure you could stand being there for long term. Now, if your goal is to get into the European Union, the strategy changes. Most EU countries only give you 90 days on arrival. But these 4 countries we're going to talk about have specific exceptions or visas that you can apply for after you arrive. The first and most obvious is going to be Spain. Spain is special because they allow you to enter as a tourist and then apply for their 3-year digital nomad visa from within the country. You don't need to apply from the US. You do need to prove monthly income of around 2,760 euros per month. Financially, Spain offers something called the Beckham Law for new residents, which caps you at 24% tax on income up to 600,000 euros. and generally it exempts foreign sources of passive income like investments. After 5 years of legal residence, you can get permanent residency, and after 10 years, you can apply for Spanish citizenship, although this would require you to renounce your US citizenship, so most Americans tend to just opt for permanent residency. The pros and cons of Spain are clear. Pros being it's the fastest way to get residency in the EU. The cons are if you don't qualify or don't apply correctly for the Beckham law, the Spanish taxes on worldwide income can be very, very high. The next consideration is Greece. Greece offers a lot of attractive visa options, including a digital nomad visa for those earning at least 3,500 euros per month. You can apply for this visa while you're already in the country on a tourist visa. The big draw in Greece is the coastline and also the tax breaks. If you move your tax residency to Greece, they offer a 50% income tax exemption for 7 years, and for retirees, they offer a capped 7% tax on foreign pensions, which include things like Social Security. And if you're really, really wealthy, they offer a flat tax program where you can pay 100,000 euros per year and earn unlimited amounts of money. It's a massive financial incentive. Pros and cons of Greece? The pros are obvious. You get the Greek Mediterranean lifestyle, beautiful coastlines, you get to be in the EU, and half off your taxes. The cons are going to be the bureaucracy. Unlike Spain, the Greek system is legendary for being slow and inefficient. It's possible that you're going to wait a long time for visa approval. You're definitely going to need to retain a lawyer, and there's no guarantee that your visa will be approved in the 90-day window that you have coming in as a tourist. The next option on this list is Croatia. Croatia just updated their digital nomad permit to allow for stays of up to 18 months. You enter visa-free on a 90-day, and then you can apply at a local police station. Croatia is a great option if you have savings but not a whole lot of monthly income. You can qualify by showing about 60,000 euros in a bank account to cover the full 18 months of your stay in Croatia. Plus, in Croatia, they do not tax foreign-earned income under the digital nomad permit. So, pros, obviously, you get the beautiful coastline of Croatia, you get to be in the EU, so you get free movement. The cons are that it is non-renewable. Once your 18 months are up in Croatia, you need to leave for at least 6 months and then try to renew it. You can't stay back to back. So it's a challenge if you're trying to find some place to move and set up a permanent life. And finally, for the EU, we have the Netherlands. The Netherlands offer a very attractive option for Americans because of something called the Dutch-American Friendship Treaty from 1956. It allows U.S. entrepreneurs to get residency by just starting a business and investing as little as 4,500 euros. Now, this isn't a pay-to-play scheme. You do actually need to run the business, but it's an attractive entry point to the EU, and if you can operate digitally, it's a great way to get in. The pros of the Netherlands are that it's a politically stable country. It's a very stable path to residency in a premium EU country. The cons are that it's very, very expensive. The cost of living in Amsterdam is extremely high, and taxes are way higher than in other countries like Albania or in Georgia. We have two final options that don't really fit into the other categories that I think are worth mentioning. First, the United Kingdom. Americans get 6 months visa-free. And as of 2024, the rules clarify that incidental remote work is allowed. Just note that starting in 2025, you need an electronic travel authorization, ETA, which costs around 12 British pounds and you can do quickly online. Pros of the UK are obvious. There is zero language barrier and world-class infrastructure. There's great healthcare, and it's a very interesting country as long as you can get used to driving on the other side of the road. The cons are that there's no extension on that 6 months and that there are relatively few paths to long-term residency. Border runs to reset don't work here, and repeated back-to-back visits raise flags with the immigration officer, and you might be denied entry. So once your 6 months are up, you need to go somewhere else. It's strictly a landing pad. And lastly, Turkey. In Turkey, you can get 90 days visa-free on arrival, and in 2024, they launched a digital nomad visa for people under 55 with at least 3,000 euros per month in income. Istanbul is an incredible city. It literally bridges Europe and Asia. The cost of living is lower than Western Europe, although inflation recently have pushed prices significantly higher. The pros here is that Turkey is a strategic travel hub. It literally bridges Europe and Asia and has a very fascinating culture. The cons are that the Turkish lira is a very volatile currency. And the political situation can be unpredictable. The government has been known to place restrictions on political speech, and it's more of a wild card than the rest of the options on this list. So that's the list. 12 options where you can leave today, land tomorrow, and start a new life. Some advice here at the end. The sense of urgency that a lot of you are feeling if you've made it this far in the video is totally valid. But don't just be reactive. You need to be strategic. Match your destination to your risk profile and the desire for the kind of life that you want to lead. If you want security and affordability right now, you should check out Albania. If you want a tax haven in the Americas, check out Paraguay. If you have time and opportunity, take a scouting trip and visit some of these countries for yourself. And if you need any assistance in moving abroad, please reach out to us. We've helped many people resettle here in Albania and all across the world. You can get our Decision to Wheels Up guide, where we guide you through each step you need to take from deciding to leave to your plane taking off at our website, www.smileabroad.al. And subscribe here if you want more videos like this one. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.